Alrighty. Cold open. This episode of Merely a Setback is brought to us by Silithus. Silithus, a great place to farm big weapon drops. Intro. Edit the intro in here. I still don't have it live. I'm Coltrane, and this is Merely a Setback. All right. Here we go. Greetings, fellow lore walkers, and welcome to Merely a Setback, a podcast about storytelling in the world of Warcraft. My name is Sharku, and I'm coming to you from my podcasting perch high in the mountains of North Carolina. I'm also a player on the Convert to Raid Battle.net News, a raid leader for the Asparagus Initiative, member of the CTR community, and just a big Blizzard Warcraft dork. I want to introduce my other hosts with us for the evening, joining us as always from Ontario, Canada, where I'm sure it's nice and warm and everyone's happy and having a great time playing in the sunshine. It's Shoe Boots.
Hey, Sharku. I am not warm, but I have a fever, and the only prescription is more Overwatch League. I can't believe how much
it's so much fun.
I was a naysayer. I was not on board with I was like, I wish them the best, but this isn't for me. I have watched probably, I don't know, eight games, eight matches,
and it's insane. Addictive. You want to keep watching. Yeah, my girlfriend hates Overwatch, refuses to play it. I bought a ticket for her to go to BlizzCon 2 years ago. I bought her a plane ticket. I flew her out there. I'm like, Overwatch is going to come. You're going to play Overwatch, new game. And we stood in line for 20 minutes to play Overwatch. And she sat at the computer and said, I don't like this. And then got up before our demo was over. And one of the devs had to sit down and finish playing with it. She's like, I don't like this, is all she said. She wasn't a shooter person, and then she went and stood in the line to play WoW for the rest of the weekend. But
that's super thug life to walk out on a demo machine.
She was just straight up. She was like, "I don't like this." That's all she said. I was like, "Okay, bye. I'll see you at the bar." Also joining us, as always, from the music capital of the world in Austin, Texas, Jared. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. I'm doing extremely well. It's actually cold again instead of like last week where it warmed up out of nowhere. So yeah, it's great.
Awesome. That's completely warm in Texas. It's a huge surprise. And
then a week later we're back into the 30s.
Cacti and palm. I know it snowed again up here in North Carolina too. Crazy stuff. We also have an incredibly special guest with us this week, guys. I'm so excited about this. And keep in mind, if you want these special guests, we're going to talk about this a little bit earlier, but having regular special guests is one of our tiers on Patreon. So if we are able to meet that tier, we'll be having more people show up and hang out with us and talk about goofy Warcraft story stuff. But we got them on the show. It was really, they have been able to get all of their webcams together, and they've been connecting really easily. We didn't have to figure out how to turn the cameras on or anything. No, it was a shit show. Obviously.
We don't do live.
Taliesin and Evitel.
How live works.
Taliesin and Evitel, welcome to the show.
Script that we've written, okay? Word for word. Seriously, for an hour, we can't go off piste. We can't improvise.
Right. I know. Having YouTubers do a live podcast, this is going to be an interesting thing. But we're all huge fans of you guys on the show. We've talked about you before. We got to meet you guys at BlizzCon and hang out, which was incredibly awesome. I actually got to play a dungeon with them for the new dungeons that we were and we were three-manning it, weren't we?
You were awesome.
I was incredible.
Everyone, when you left, they were like, "Who is that guy?" He was amazing.
I know.
His
must be
was off the chart.
He was. Yeah, I was on method. Is what they all thought. I was the one American on method. But yeah, we had a lot of fun, and we four-manned it for the most part. We were under, and we were for a while. We were just trying to kill one trash mob, and we didn't know what was going on.
More than I've ever wiped in anything.
Ever pretty much.
It was a beautiful thing, and we got these looks of pure pity from the people, from the officials who were kind of
they're
kind of watching around. They're like, "No, you got to do
wipe and wipe and wipe," and they're like, "Maybe I can help." It's like, "No,
You guys are you guys are podcasters and YouTubers about World of Warcraft. Is there?
It's just the different keybinds.
I know all the keybinds.
No
I kept trying to. I
to
kept
them yet.
I have them. I have it on. I have one of the 12-button gaming mouse mices, and I didn't have my buttons. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't find Evan Bolt. They took Evan Bolt away from.
I was like, Shark. He's struggling because he hasn't got the 12. Where are your buttons? Where's the 12 buttons?
I need Evan Bolt.
I was just missing my artifact ability, and that just ruined my rotation.
Very
and
important
I could,
for a hunter.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. You guys were great. We had a great time at BlizzCon. We could talk about BlizzCon all day long, but we're gonna go ahead and move into the show, talking about some show stuff real quick. Shoe Boots, what have we been doing in WoW or anything recent that's been going on in your life as far as gaming?
In my life?
Yeah.
Oh, as far as gaming, okay.
Yeah.
I'm
not trying to get you to say how's it going? Is your job going well? Or you?
It's going okay.
Are you happy within yourself?
Yeah.
No, but I'm working on it. I bought a book. Not much news in World of Warcraft this week, but there are a couple things. One, I guess, kind of loosely related to my Overwatch League addiction. There was a WoW esports panel on Twitch this week where they kind of laid out some of their plans for esports for the year. And I think the two major takeaways, one, they're adding a lot more prizes, in particularly to Arena. But the big news for me, as a huge fan of the Mythic Dungeon Invitational last year, is that it's coming back, and it's coming back sooner than we think. They're going to be having one in the first half of this year, which pretty much means it's going to be a Legion Mythic Dungeon Invitational, I think. Mm-hmm. But I'm really excited about it. We've talked a few times about how it's great to watch an esport where you understand what's going on when you're watching, and that can be tough with Arena, but it's not tough with the MDI. So I couldn't be more excited that it's coming back soon, and I hope that we're going to see a lot more of it.
Yeah, I think so too. Taliesin and Evitel, did you guys get to catch the MDI this past summer?
Yeah. We watched a bit of it. Because we're pals with Jack B. Castin, the old one of the casters on it as well.
Oh, cool.
And he kind of talked us through it and made sure we understand it. It's awesome, and yeah, it's exactly what you were saying. That thing of even with Overwatch, which I do play, I find it really difficult to follow from an esports kind of perspective, and all of the PvP esports that WoW's
Arena is like it's just a blur.
Hats off to it. It's awesome and everything, but I just can't follow it, whereas with the Mythic Plus stuff, that's great. I know what's going on, man. Right. They're killing things I've sometimes managed to kill, and they're like hitting cooldowns. I kind of know what's going on, and it's like, it's brilliant. But you were saying about the new MDI, and it being a Legion one. We know that there are at least 2 BFA dungeons like in a demoable state.
Right.
How cool would it be if they just threw that stuff in as wildcards?
Oh, and that's
I know none of you have played this before.
They have.
But it's teaming.
I think
I'm pretty sure, by the way, Shaku, that it was on teaming when we were playing it.
I know it was. It was definitely teaming.
They didn't tell us that, but I'm pretty sure.
Definitely teaming and bolstering 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we need to get that group. We need to get that group back together. Whoever, there was somebody tanking with us. I don't even know who.
That was a guy called Chris.
Who
was working.
Chris from BlizzCon.
Well, we need to get, nice guy.
We need to get Chris from BlizzCon back, and we're going to get that team together, and we're going to apply for the MDI. Because especially since we have all that experience already in the new. I do think it could be likely. I mean, Blizzard all the time puts out. Teases some stuff like they gave us the Demon Hunters early before the release of the expansion. Maybe there's going to be some dungeons that help shift us into BFA, and that's going to be cool. Included into the rotation of MDI. I think it'd be a cool idea. Mm-hmm. Who knows if they're going to be able to make it happen?
Secret final challenge.
Make it so, yeah.
Can you imagine the soul? If they just threw in a new dungeon into the MDI.
Yeah, but it was brilliant. Only, and the only people that have access to it are the people in the MDI. That's going to be the twist right there. That's the trick.
And none of your add-ons work because it's 8.0.
Yes!
Oh, God. Exactly.
That's actually a good question. Do you think they're going to allow them? Because one thing they're doing differently this time around is the final bracket will be live. They're going to actually fly in the people and have them go head to head. Will they be allowed to use their add-ons? Because I think that
Are they allowed in like Arena?
I don't. Sorry, go ahead.
They
Jared.
said that they were like all of that is going to be done in the Arena client, which is or the Arena servers, which is the normal client. So you'll still have access to all of your like personal stuff. It's just in the Arena client. So I think that they will, but I think that they're going to probably have to be a little bit selective about which add-ons are going to be allowed and which ones aren't, because they're obviously you could probably write some add-ons that would really give you an unfair edge in it, but it's
really you said which add-ons are these, Jared? Not just out of interest, really.
I don't
game breaking. That'd be really great.
But like
sexy map is one of them.
Yeah, that one, game breaking.
CLC ret. It's CLC ret. That's what breaks the game for everybody. You got to download CLC ret.
I wouldn't put it past them to allow it, but also it's up in the air. They haven't really talked about like what the rules of the invitational will be. They just talked about the structure of it, so it's yet to be seen.
Cody says it's the Owen Wilson wow add-on, where every time you crit, he says wow.
Can't allow that.
There we go. All right. I forgot to mention, by the way, and we haven't really gotten any, but this show, as per usual, is a spoiler show. We are a show about story in the World of Warcraft. As soon as information is available to us through data mining or anything like that, we are going to share it on the show. So if you prefer to not be spoiled and to play through the content live and to not know any of the story beforehand, wait to listen to our show until it's everything that we're talking about currently on PTRs or anything like that has come live. But just to let you all know that we will definitely be spoiling anything we can possibly spoil, and also making some stuff up ourselves as we go. So keep that in mind. Jared, something else has gone on, and I know Taliesin and Evitel talked about this a little bit in the weekly reset that they put out I think it was live yesterday or today. But what else is happening in WoW News this week?
So in the PTR, we got a release candidate for 7.3.5. I don't have the actual number. I can probably look it up. It's build 25848. Just went. Did it go live today? I don't remember. But either way, we have a release candidate, and with all of the other news, and we talked about this a little bit last week, but the casters with their long cast, which apparently they do that every week, and it ends on the reset time for every server. But I think personally all the pieces are in place for us to see 7.3.5 either this week or the following week.
I could see it happen Tuesday. I could see there is a universe that exists where that comes to play, that comes to fruition. You know what I mean? I think that it could possibly happen on Tuesday. If I had to put money on it, I would say I think it's going to be the following week, the 23rd. But yeah, I think that.
I mean, I don't know about the US though. There's 8-hour maintenance going on our reset day, Wednesday morning. Okay. So, I mean, if that's the same on the NA servers.
And we had maintenance last week. I haven't checked yet, so I don't know. And it could be in one of those things. Blizzard likes to, especially every now and again, keep us guessing, not give us a release day and just say, oh, here's the patch. We're ready. It's good. Let's go. Mm-hmm. And I think if it's ready, they're going to put it out.
Mm-hmm. Unless they're holding out for the 23rd, because that's Taliesin's birthday.
Oh, did request.
That must be
you just snuck in a little sneaky birthday request in there.
Yeah, I was like, give me something. Give me a little something. And I said, how about we delay a whole patch for you?
Yeah.
I was like, that'll do.
Yeah, that's
yeah, just upset the entire player base. No reason for me.
I would think that they would definitely have waited just for your birthday. That's what I would have done. I don't know about
exactly.
I asked them to hold off Kill Jade until my birthday, but they would not do it. They were like, "That's the best part of the year. It's not happening." Like, oh, please,
or just go ahead and give you a kill, like just
rather than it took 100. We were talking about this the other day. It took 123 wipes for my guild to kill Jade in heroic.
123. That's
how many heroic Argus?
How many did it take us, Sharku?
I don't know.
We spent a while on that fight.
Yeah, heroic.
We had more wipes on normal than heroic.
I was going to say normal was a huge, and we were just forming at that point in time, so we had a lot of stuff to get together. But I mean, I think we had upwards of 100 wipes because we wiped on it a couple weeks in a row, didn't we?
Yeah,
and
I think 2 or 3.
Yeah, 6 hours a week. Yeah, that was. It was pretty nuts. It was a lot of stuff to remember, and everyone had to do it right. And if we missed one thing, it was just the whole fight was over. So we'll be working on heroic and Taurus tonight, trying to get AOTC. We have killed everything up to that. And now we're working on that. So Argus, I call him in Taurus. I don't know why. Every time heroic and Taurus.
It's the whole raid, Sharku. It's the whole raid.
He is the whole raid.
On our last raid night, we progressed the last 4 bosses in the one night and killed them all. Yeah,
we did. On heroic,
it's a bit. Yeah, it was a bit.
We had a little bit of a wall. We took it was about 10 pulls on Coven, and then 2 pulls on Agrimar, or 2 or 3. Yeah. And then we had at the end of a night we had like 3 pulls on Argus, but I think we were only half trying because we were mostly asleep at that point. But
yeah, I mean, is that fun? I like the raid. Like, it's clearly a good raid. It's clearly an interesting raid with interesting fights and stuff. But I mean, like we 3-shotted Argus.
Yeah, I'm not happy with it. To be honest with you, as a raid leader, I found like the last 4 or 3, well, really the last 3 bosses presented somewhat of a challenge that we had to overcome, but it didn't take too long to overcome it. And I think that our team, as far as the way that the fights are all tuned, I think that what was challenging for us to overcome in heroic last year, I think that the mythic fights are going to be more along that. Like, our team is going to be tuned for mythic, even though I've always kind of considered us more of a, heroic, and then we'll see how far we can get into mythic. I think that we're going to be able to progress possibly all the way through mythic, because heroic was just
that's some big talk, Sharku. Just talking about how easy heroic is. Now you're like, yeah, you know what?
We're going to do mythic. Well, I already looked up. I already researched the first couple bosses, because I mean, if we only do 5 pulls on Argus tonight, we're going to have 2 hours left to we might just jump into mythic and see what it is. And the first 2 bosses don't seem too much different than heroics, but we'll figure it out. I know it's not going to be easy. He's not going to be a pushover. It's definitely challenging work, but yeah, definitely a lot. I think they could have done better at making it more challenging. That was something as a raid leader, even I'm like, I can't, I don't even get to yell at anybody. Like, we're all doing it right. This is zero fun for me.
What is my purpose?
They're kind of in a no-win situation, though, because the previous raid was tuned too difficult. And the side effect of that is that we all probably became better raiders in the process.
That's true. We did.
Learning how to do it. Plus, and I don't know if you guys have talked about this on your YouTube channel before, but I've heard this talk from a few places. The idea that, now that we have these add-ons like DBM and Bigwigs, they have to make so much personal responsibility built into these fights to make them challenging, because we have these add-ons that'll just make it trivial otherwise. We clearly didn't like that in the last raid, so they kind of dialed that back. But the flip side of that is the problem in the first place, that they just have to make these fights easier in order to not give us those really frustrating moments that I think happen in Tomb of Sargeras.
I mean, I agree that I think the player base probably didn't like that as a whole. I did, though. I thought Kill Team was a great fight. I really enjoyed it in heroic. Like, we don't generally do mythic in our guild, and on heroic that stuff was great. It was really challenging. We bashed our heads up against it for a good couple of weeks, like over 100 pulls, like I say, and it felt awesome when we got it down. It felt really good.
I think 100 pulls is good. I love wiping all night long and working, and I really do. It's just I'm not. It sounds sarcastic, but I genuinely enjoy that, because and then you go and you're like, all right, guys, that was it. We didn't get it, and you go to sleep that night, and you got that emptiness, right? You're just like,
right,
we didn't get it. I'm incomplete. But then when you finally get it, it's so much more.
I'm pretty sure we can get it if I just look at more logs. If I read more logs, if I just stare at these logs, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, look, I did 2 more Rising Sun kicks there. That's probably good. That's a good amount of those. I'll just maybe go for 3 more next time, and that should do it.
That's got to be it. But I loved it. I thought that I really liked the challenge in the old one, and it was a little bit maybe too difficult, especially the mythic version of it. That I know that there were a lot of, especially the world first teams were very unhappy with how that played out. But I do think that maybe a happy medium. But I think erring on the side of being too challenging is better than erring on the side of it being too easy, because really what we want is to play the game. And if there's something to do, that's good. But when you've already killed everything and there's no more challenge and you're just grinding out for whatever, that's when we start losing players. That's when raid teams take breaks and dissolve because there's nothing for them to do. And that's not healthy for the life of the game. So hopefully that doesn't happen this time around, because we're going to get allied races on Tuesday, right? That's official.
Oh, you haven't got those already? I've got those. I
have all the allied races. I actually, my mage is a Naga. I don't know what you guys playable Naga.
I went Murloc for mine, so
yeah,
mine's first.
So
Ian Hazakosis programmed that into the game just for me.
Just saying.
I've got a Murloc Bard.
Murloc Bard. Yeah, I have an Ogre Tinkerer. All right. So let's move it forward. That's the WoW news for this week, guys. Not a whole lot of news this week, because we're going to get a new patch very, very soon, and we'll have plenty of stuff to reveal when all that comes out. But I'm going to jump ahead, and we're going to, since we have such special guests with so much expertise and World of Warcraft brilliance, and once again, this show is sort of ordered around storytelling, but we can veer from that a little bit. We have a few questions that we've thought up that we kind of want to ask you. Jared, why don't you go ahead and spitfire, pick your favorite question and give. We'll have Taliesin and Evitel question answer lightning round. No, just kidding. You can take your time.
Okay, well, the question that I have that I thought was my best question was: are you guys as excited as Shoeboots that Christy Golden is a Blizzard employee?
That is the best question. Congratulations, you win. As do we, because I'm totally excited about Christy Golden.
Yeah. Do you guys remember standing in line at BlizzCon and getting that little booklet?
I say standing in line. Obviously, we didn't stand in line, but we got the little booklet. Right?
We just kind of went through.
We stood in the Merc line.
Yeah.
And no, it was awesome because we all had that little bit, and it wasn't like advertised that we'd get that.
No, we were like, oh, look at this little pamphlet. Let's
the excerpt
read it.
From the new book, it turned out to be, and you could just see people's faces as they got to that last line in it.
And they were like, oh.
And you could tell where they were in it, and it was like, fantastic. Yeah. I mean, Christy Golden's obviously awesome, but it was more. And when it was kind of made public that she was working full time at Blizzard, that was cool. I was like, yeah, awesome. But then it was one day, and I literally just woke up in the morning, and I went, oh my god, she's there to write a cool story for Jaina.
Yeah.
That's what she's there for.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna have like a proper Jaina storyline.
This was after the initial disappointment when Taliesin was like, wait, I didn't get the job.
Right.
What?
I sent them like a folder this thick.
Yeah, your manuscript.
Of all of my Jaina ships that I'd written over the years.
All your Jaina fan fiction.
Yeah, seriously. And good to see that they really took the corset idea on for BFA.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I didn't use any of my ideas. So, clearly it's great. And if it means, I like to think that she's having something to do with the game narrative and not just sort of novels and things like that, and that's cool as well, but I want her sort of I would like that to be a sign that they're paying more attention to as the story progresses through the game, and I'd like to have someone of her kind of caliber involved in that.
And she's probably written the coolest storylines for several of the characters that are kind of featured in the next expansion too. I don't think that's any coincidence.
Yeah. Well, and even outside World of Warcraft, like probably my favorite book that she did and story that she wrote was she wrote the story on Ventress, Asajj Ventress in Star Wars. And she wrote a short story and a novel about Asajj Ventress, and it's incredible what she... First of all, that character... I'm super... Star Wars sidetrack, everybody. Super Star Wars nerd. It's the best story ever told, including Jar Jar Binks. I mean, he's the best part, but... No, but
my God.
Asajj Ventress, who really comes to play as far as the movies and the shows are concerned only during the Clone Wars cartoon, which is incredible if you guys haven't seen that, because you think it's for kids or it reminds you of the prequels. It actually makes the prequels work for me. I love it. But she's an incredibly interesting character, very gray. She's not good. She's not bad. She just is. Those are always my favorite types of... what drives those kinds of people. Like, it's not it's not to be evil, and it's not to only do good and protect everyone. There's just the cool figuring out what their drive is I think really, really interesting. And she does a great job with that, as well as all the stuff she's done on BlizzCon with Blizzard on the World of Warcraft stories. So I might even be more excited than Shoe Boots that she's working there. I actually got to meet her at BlizzCon too, and she
way!
Yeah, she was
me
signing, too. Dude. Oh, it was so great. You guys should have.
We saw the queue for her signing.
She was in the Dark Moon Fair, and there was a time when, because they had people signing for Overwatch, because I was trying to get an interview with Darren DePaul, and at the same time, Christy was on the other side of the little setup that they had. And there was nobody in line for her because they were all over. And I was like, this is insanity. And I just talked to her for a while about stuff. And she signed my little, the little booklet that they gave you with your BlizzCon badge and everything. Mm-hmm. And she was really, really nice. And I told her how much I loved her stuff. And hopefully if the Blizzard gods shine on us one day, maybe she'll be able to be interviewed on the show. But we'll see. She's such a
Fingers
great
crossed.
source of
Don't interview her on the show. Get her to write the show.
Write the show for us.
It's incredibly dramatic, full of intrigue.
Do you imagine the plot twist?
Oh, it'd be amazing.
But oh man, she's great. I remember a while ago, Scott Johnson did an interview with her on the Instant Spec when I think it was when she wrote Tides of War, and speaking to Jaina. But yeah, that was a great interview as well. If you guys haven't heard that, look that up.
Cool geek out moment. One of my coolest moments of this BlizzCon was I got to meet her too, and I just told her that one of my favorite things about a few of her books is the appearance of warlocks on the Alliance side. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that. Like, she always has like some sort of a side, like, and then Varian noticed this warlock like petting her fell hunter and just like thinking about, wow, we have warlocks on our side, but we're like just kind of like that juxtaposition. And she came back, she's like, oh, that's actually my main. I write my main character into my books.
Oh, I love that.
She's like, yeah, her main's a human warlock, and she just like
about it. I just want my main in my books.
That's awesome. I mean, that's so cool from like a geek out perspective. But it's also a bit like, oh, I thought it was something deeper than that. I thought you had this grand plan, but no, you're just doing what I would have done.
Yeah. Like trying to find meaning in a Beatles lyric or something. It's not there. Right. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, go ahead. Let's get another question in there.
Sure. So, as an American and an English person, is 4th of July awkward for you guys, or how does that work?
It's only awkward because I'm vegetarian.
Yeah. And I'm all about the hot dogs. It's just, it's a real wedge in this relationship.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
It's tricky.
Okay, the real question was, what are you guys, here's an easy one. What are you most excited for in Battle for Azeroth? What's the killer app for you?
Warfronts, definitely.
What are Warfronts?
Because whatever they are, I bet they rule. I bet they're amazing.
I really hope it's...
laugh at Warfronts now, but I bet they're going to be the best thing in the game. They sound a bit like Garrison Invasions, don't they, really?
Yeah, a little bit. I can't wait for Allied Races. I know it's...
That's not BFA, mate. That's Tuesday.
Well, you know, officially.
That's going to be that. I know what you mean. Yeah. And, like, Allied Races is clearly all the hype at the moment. But for me, the most exciting thing about Allied Races is the idea that they can slot new ones in at basically any time. Like the new system they have where you just complete a quest line on your main, and then basically you could just start your new allied race. That means they can literally just put one in whenever they feel like it, and which is really exciting to me.
What's your wildest prediction of one we're going to see in Battle for Azeroth, do you think?
Ooh.
I want the big Kultiran humans.
Yes.
That's what I want.
The big buff seafaring humans.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're so cool with their big mutton chops.
Yeah.
I know you can have mutton chops in human in game now, but those are proper mutton chops.
Can we get some with tentacles?
Like, they don't have tentacles. What are you talking
well,
about?
they might.
Well, I guess so, yeah.
If we are getting this Old Gods expansion.
Well, that's a different question.
Right. Okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
What about the little fox things?
Oh,
those little fox things.
The Volpira.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much a given as well.
And the little turtle people, the Tortolans.
Oh, yeah, Tortolans.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty out there.
Basically, if it's tiny, I'll play it.
Yeah.
That's fair.
We have.
I mean,
we have a couple questions in the chat room. First of all, Mr. GM, who is in our chat, wants me to tell you guys hi. He's here. He's been chatting.
Mr. GM,
he's here. I know, that's great. It's we'll have to, once we get to talking about bosses later, we're gonna have to see which one would win. We'll have to ask him. He'll have to get the numbers on that. A couple of the questions. Keltiris, our friend Cody asks, "Will you now or ever let Bellular back out into the world from his new home in Khadgar's Ball?"
Are you kidding? Like, it took us ages to get him in that ball. He's going nowhere. He's here for life. We're not going to have to make another video ever again.
Exactly. We just plug him into the laptop.
Yeah, and the laptop can't handle it. We have to the only computer that can handle Bell is like rooms big. You know,
it's like the first IBM computer,
and it's in like Antarctica under the ground, and that's where he is right now.
He's just churning out videos.
For us.
The world is safe from a content drought. Thank you guys for you're our heroes.
Legend says he's still saying "oh."
Yeah.
We've got.
It was really good because he's an absolute legend and an absolute star. He sent the video with him recording his lines. This is for our new episode of the Weekly Reset where he appears in like a cameo at the beginning. And, you know, we sent him the script and we were like, dude, next time you're in front of your camera, just send these lines. And he was like, oh, awesome. Yeah, totally going to do that. And he sent this video, which was him recording each line in the script like 12 times in different emotional states and in different like physical positions. Which is pro, man. Like Shaku, you know this being in the business. You know, that's what you want.
That's exactly what you do it.
As a director, you need options.
Yeah, and you see him every now and then stop and like channel a new character.
Yeah,
like he'll stop and he'll like refresh himself and he'll be like, "Oh."
And you can imagine, you can see he was envisioning the ball.
He would comment on it too. It's my favorite part. He's like, "No, I don't like that one." Oh.
Yeah. He'd be like,
that one's bad.
No, I want to do another one. I'm going to do it again. I just put this on while I was playing WoW, just off the other monitor, you know, just to check that it was all there and stuff. No one's aiming, just listen to it out of the corner of my ear. But within seconds, I was engrossed. I was hooked.
Oh yeah,
it was such a performance, and I'm not ashamed to say, as I was watching his performance, a single tear.
Absolutely, there needs to be. There needs to be awards for like, I know there's podcast awards already, but we need like a best actor in a podcast performance at the Oscars. Like, it really needs to happen.
That's the appropriate venue.
Right. Well, no, yeah, sure. I mean, that's where we're all trying to go, right? All right. I got one from Twitter. Lee Hughes tweeted at us and wants to know about the future of Zappy Boy. He wants a lore deep dive into Zappy Boy. Hashtag save Zappy Boy. So what's the future for Zappy Boy, do you think? Or have we seen the last
I think there's so much more story to tell.
I think there is.
I think if we're honest, that's probably why Christy Golden is working for Blizz now.
Jaina and Zappy Boy.
She's the only one that can truly discover him. Because like you saw in the newest version of the loading screen for the Seething Shore, like, because originally they took Zappy Boy away from that loading screen.
Yeah.
And now they've taken everyone away from the loading screen. It's an empty Seething Shore.
Yeah.
Because Zappy Boy killed them all.
Yeah. Possibly.
And turned them into trees.
Possibly.
There are more trees there now. Such is the power of Zappy Boy. He can create and destroy.
Yeah. So basically, there's a lot in store for him, I think.
Oh yeah, we haven't seen the last of Zappy Boy.
No.
He's probably the final boss.
And Warcraft acknowledged him.
Yeah.
In a tweet recently. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, we getting some Zappy Boy for War Chief coming out. Coming here, so we'll see.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I can see it happen. I
mean, he one-shot a Greymane.
He did. Yeah, he's pretty much
good.
And he's masked. Like, who is he under there?
Who is he?
Who is that?
Jaina, probably.
Jaina.
It's a Dreadlord. It's actually Jaina before she turned into a Dreadlord. Is who Zappy Boy is.
Oh, that's some tiny whiny stuff going on here.
Yeah, exactly what that is. Frog Sprout in the chat asks how you are enjoying your new place and who was really the best cook in Preach's Christmas video.
Okay, it's a two-parter. We're loving the new place. You can't see it, but we have a wall full of soundproofing right behind here.
Yeah, we do nothing so far because we haven't put soundproofing anywhere else, so it doesn't actually stop any bouncing of sound waves, which is how it works. That's science. Can't argue with science. And but we're getting there. It's still a bit echoey in here. We seem to have misplaced our webcam, which is why we're recording this on our laptop. So apologies for the bad video quality. So we're still just like unpacking. Yeah. Just getting settled. There are no pictures on the wall in the other rooms or anything like that.
No,
so.
It's just barren apart from this beautiful little studio.
Yeah, which is why we spend most of our time
straight. Yeah, exactly.
The opposite of my apartment, where I had tried to clear as much out of here as possible, and there's just piles of boxes and crap everywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much like that here as well at the moment. Yeah, but, it's going to be a really lovely place. I just hope we get everything unpacked before our contract runs out.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. And then the most important part of that question: who was the best cook in Preach's video?
Yeah.
It wasn't Belial, that's for sure. He's a man of many, many skills, but cooking is not one of them.
Right. He only knows how to. He only knows how to eat people. Is from.
Well, exactly. So, it's not his material, right? It's not his medium. He's an artist, right? Like working with food is just not his medium. Yeah. I have to give my vote actually to Nobble. Nobble's steak was like simple yet sophisticated.
He looked like he knew what he was doing.
And not how I would do a steak either. No, so I learned something.
Exactly.
But and props to Ghosty as well, because they had a steak off. And I think both of them pulled it out of the bag. Took it, maybe a bit too seriously, but still, really nailed it down. And they got it.
I actually just watched that video a couple days ago, and I remember telling my girlfriend, we were sitting there watching it, I was like, all I want in life is to have been there. Like, I just want to be you guys look like you're just having so much fun, and some of my favorite people were in that video, and now, and she did say, she said, well, we can just move to London, and we'll just hang out.
Sunday for us.
Move to the UK or Europe or something.
I had an inverse experience. I was watching that video, and my girlfriend, who doesn't play WoW at all, barely knows anything about it, she's like, watched me watching it. She's like, why are you watching these people cook? Like, what do you care about?
Just be stupid.
I ask myself this every day. What am I doing? Why am I here?
I had no good answer.
Well, no, exactly.
Because they're my friends. I'm teleporting right now. You don't know.
It was a strange weekend, but it was a good weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Do you guys, Jared? Do you have anything else from our list that you want to talk about before we're going to talk about that last one at the end? But
not really.
No.
I guess like what I had another question. Like, what was your favorite part of Legion? But I'm pretty sure that's the unveiling of Zappy Boy, which it wasn't really even a part of Legion.
Yeah, that's BFA. But, we gotta go pre-BFA. What do you guys think? What's the favorite? What was your favorite part? The whole expansion has now basically come to a conclusion. What was your favorite part? Either just in game as a player experience, or even more specifically, like story wise, in the whole expansion. What was the best part for you?
Gosh, that's interesting. Probably my best experience from a gameplay perspective was the Nighthold, which I thought was just a really beautiful raid.
It really was a great raid.
I'm really great. I was tweeting this morning about my love for the Mage Tower.
Yeah.
That's basically what I've been spending this kind of, I guess we're in the lull now.
Mm-hmm.
Is just getting as many characters to the Mage Tower as I can, because I love that stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
That is so cool. You go into the Mage Tower and it's so easy but so hard,
right?
And you feel awesome.
Even ridiculously overgearing it, there's still a lot of stuff you have to do. Like, it's not
totally.
Yeah.
You're at the stage now where you're playing on alts and stuff, and so they're geared, but they're not very sort of optimized.
Right.
And you don't play them very often, so you need to be using stuff that you just don't use when you're doing like a pug run or something, or a low keystone, the kind of stuff you do with your alts, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's making me a better player, and it's like taking hours and hours of my life still. Every time it crops up, I'm like, I've managed to get at least a new one every time the Mage Towers come up. Right. And feel pretty awesome about that, actually.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah. I have to give my vote to the Nighthold as well, but also Suramar, like Suramar City. I just thought that was brilliant. And as much as I hated it at certain moments, especially before I could fly, like I have memories looking back on that feel like the same kinds of memories like when I was gaming when I was a kid, where you get kind of like immersed in this like super fantastic universe. So I have to vote for Suramar.
It was the first time since I was like a low-level noob that WoW felt like an RPG.
Yeah.
With Suramar.
Yeah.
Like I got my RPG fix from Suramar.
Yeah.
And I really, really hope they do. I don't think they're gonna have something like it in BFA, because I think it'll be all like, hey, Alliance, you've hit max level. Time to go to Zandalar and build some bases and stuff.
Yeah.
And it'll be like, okay, cool. Yeah. And I really hope they have the courage to do another Suramar.
I think WoW felt like an RPG for Legion, and it's going to feel like a RTS for BFA.
Yeah, probably. Which is a shame, because I think story-wise, and this, not everyone agrees with this, but I feel like from a storytelling perspective, just generally, they knocked it out of the park completely. I still think like Val'sharah is one of the best told zone stories of any kind of leveling experience. I think the way you were led through that zone as you leveled through it, and through the narrative there, was just like masterful. I thought it was fantastic. And yeah, and then all the important lore stuff happening as well throughout the expansion. I feel like we've been kind of spoiled a bit.
It's been a great expansion.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic expansion. It's been like probably my favorite expansion that I've kind of played through, all in all. I'm a Wrath baby. And I never even hit like max level during Wrath, which is why it was so awesome. So I can't really say that I played through Wrath properly. And so from there, I'd have to say that Legion has been my favorite experience. Yeah, it's been great.
It's been really good. I think my problem, we're going to get into this again, guys, with Legion, it would be my favorite expansion, but the gearing was just so bad. As a raider, the gearing was just the legendary system was just so bad that took so much away from my enjoyment as a player. It tilted me so hard that it made it more difficult to experience the awesome thing that was Legion. Will you stop laughing at me? It's 100%. I know the chat room is going nuts right now. He's like, here it comes. Here it comes. Somebody said Legion was awesome, and Shark's going to talk about how legendaries broke the universe. But no, it really was. It was a very frustrating experience to deal with that. But I would agree, especially with the storyline. I think that since Wrath, they haven't told story this well since then, which I think is the pinnacle of what they've done, and in a lot of ways I think Legion surpassed that.
Man, like how much cool stuff, like just stuff that you're going to talk about. Say WoW lasts another like 10 years, you're going to be talking about stuff like Argus appearing in the sky, and you'll be like, and then Argus appeared in the sky, and it was just there. It was just there in the sky to look at. And if you weren't there,
you didn't get it. You don't know. You'll never know.
Exactly.
Players that come into the game,
a really
players
cool
that
thing
quit a long time ago.
Yeah, that's a really cool thing to give us and take away, because people are going to be talking about it. But it's also one thing I really appreciate about it is I'm not going to be bitter that I didn't like get some transmog that's no longer available later on, right? Like I'm not, but yeah, it's just like we have it as the logo for our show because I think it came out right when we were putting this together. I think that is going to be remembered as one of the coolest moments in the history of the game when Argus was.
It was one of the coolest moments. Go ahead.
Yeah. When Sargeras' sword in Silithus is not the coolest thing that happens, right? You know, because you've had Argus in the sky. That's just awesome. That's really fun and really cool.
Well, and even for me, it was the coolest moment of I've been to 4, 5, 6 BlizzCons. I can't even remember now, but it was the coolest BlizzCon. One of the coolest BlizzCon moments was sitting there at a deep dive panel for a game that everybody had almost written off at that point because they're like, Blizzard's handing the torch off to Overwatch. And, you know, there wasn't even, and I was sitting at the WoW panel being like, please give us something, breathe life into this game. And then all of a sudden they said, oh yeah, by the way, and Argus came up. We're going to Argus, and we saw the first images of like that was, and then seeing it just sitting in the sky in game.
Yeah.
Very cool.
They did a really great job of teasing it because you first see it in that if you like stop DPSing against Gul'dan and look at the sky,
or if you die,
if you die, lying like that little rip, and you're like, oh my god, what's going on in there?
Right?
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, we had another question here, real quick. We're gonna move on, oh yeah, from the chat asks if you guys are gonna re-roll any race change any of your mains for Froth.
Ooh.
What are you thinking?
Probably not.
It's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
It's a lot of effort, mate.
I don't know.
What's your favorite of the allied races? What would you go for?
Well, I have to play a Nightborn.
Yeah, I guess so.
I absolutely have to. So I'm just gonna have to play Horde now, I guess.
I was gonna say you guys main alliance now, though, right?
Yeah, we do. We do. I'm gonna have to delve into Horde a little bit.
I'm already
which I'm looking forward to actually, because I haven't given it enough time as much as I should.
Yeah, and it is fun when you play Horde.
Oh yeah.
Like, and especially with the level scaling as well, so you can properly go through. Because I certainly haven't really gone through the Horde early zones since the Kata revamp. So whereas I did the Lawmaster on my alliance side, but it'll be nice to go through it properly leveling on the Horde side, because I am hyped for Nightborn and I am hyped for High Mountain. Like, that stuff is cool. That's legit cool. So I'm gonna definitely gonna, don't know about re-rolling, but I will definitely roll.
Yeah, we'll roll.
A kind of like a secondary roll. Tertiary.
I've had a correction on the pronunciation. It's Oyo, not oh yeah, wow. Oyo from the chat.
Okay, sorry.
There it is. But yeah, I think I am almost definitely going to make my Panda Mage, even though I love my Panda Mage, and nobody plays Panda Mage. Like, they're one. I was gonna say
Panda Mage.
It's so good. I love him. But I've already thought about changing him to a dwarf anyway, because I love dwarfs, and I started on Horde side. I rolled Alliance to be on the CTR guild, and you know, my family plays Alliance, so I play Alliance. You know, all my friends and everything. My raid team is here, and I'm very, very happy playing with them, so I will continue to main Alliance. But I do, like, I think I want to be a Dark Iron Dwarf. I think I really am going to change him to a Dark Iron Dwarf, because I think that would be really a lot of fun.
That's cool.
And I don't know, maybe I'll just have another Panda Mage, or I'll make my Horde Mage. I'll make him a panda or something to keep that alive. My girlfriend likes him because she says he looks like me. I said he's big, redheaded, and furry. So I guess, I don't know.
Wait, are you into that, Sharku? The furry stuff?
Being furry? Well, I'm just furry. There's nothing. I can't.
See.
Yeah, I can't. But
he's totally into it. Just to clear that up.
I'm super into everything. So you guys, last episode of or a little mini episode before this last weekly reset, you talked a little bit about end bosses and what the possible end bosses would be. You mentioned a few of them. I can't have them listed right off the top of my head, but the favorites are, you know, Ashara, N'Zoth, or a old god. I want to, before we get into our deep dive, this week, kind of talk about that a little bit. Ask you guys what's the most likely scenario that you think will happen, and then also like the most outlandish but coolest scenario that you think has at least a minuscule of a possibility to happen. What do you guys think?
Ooh. I think at this stage, it's not even a case of what the most likely is, because, it is so far away and we've had so little information on it that really I think at this stage, you still have the freedom to just talk about essentially what you want to happen.
Right.
And I think that's okay. That's cool. Like, it's fun to speculate and to just kind of be outlandish. And I think most people are on the same page when it comes to predicting where the story of Battle for Azeroth will go. Because I think it's quite clear that you can't maintain the whole kind of faction warfare for too long into the expansion. And even if you could, Blizzard have kind of proven that they like to kind of change track a lot throughout an expansion recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And which makes me think that all of the predictions of Old God stuff and the Zoth might be actually a little premature, and that maybe Blizzard got something completely different planned.
There'll be a future expansion or something. We'll work up to it.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know if anyone really predicted Titans for the end of Legion. I know they're really connected to Burning Legion in the context in which we fight them, but no one would have said Titans.
Now, I did say Sargeras. I thought somehow we were going to... Everybody's like, you're crazy, you can't kill a Titan, you can't kill a Titan. But no, that the Pantheon would come back. I really don't think that anybody...
Yeah.
When...
Well, yeah, we were told they were dead.
Yeah, and not even before... Right, exactly. They literally wrote it in their textbook. The Titans are dead. But I don't even think that until Argus... the pre-patch, the PTR for Argus, when data mined that ENR was going to be a battle, like defensive ENR, that was something. That blew my mind too. So yeah, I get what you're saying 100%.
Oh yeah, and as you went through the spell list of Coven,
and just like
all the spells were named after different Titans and stuff.
Yeah, that was so great. But yeah, and I think that it was awesome that they did that, and they established that we could hold our own against a Titan. You know what I mean? That now we are powerful enough as mortals, because we are children of Azeroth. We actually have the power to battle Titans and defeat one. What? So that always bothered me when people are like, I want to fight Sargeras. Like, you can't fight Sargeras. You're a tiny little ant to him.
You're puny.
Like, but come on, like, we have to, because he's going to kill us all if we don't.
Well, I mean, that is kind of cool, because what's interesting is because that's one of the big criticisms of WoW, isn't it? It's like, hey, dude, I killed Deathwing, so why am I now suddenly like struggling against this group of Murlocs on the Broken Shore and stuff like that?
Yeah.
But they've kind of avoided that with Legion, because they've gone, yeah, you can fight a Titan if you and 20 of your closest friends each have one of the most powerful weapons in the entire universe, which you have spent an entire expansion empowering. And if you have 6 other Titans empowering you at the same time, then you can fight a Titan. But that's a situation we're never going to find ourselves in again. So they've kind of avoided Mary Sue's and overpowerment a little bit there, I think. Because it's like, we're not going to have those powerful weapons anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
The Titans are gone.
They've written the removal of that power into the story, so we can actually go back to fighting Murlocs, and it kind of makes sense.
Hopefully, okay, yeah.
I'm not convinced that we'll never have to fight a Titan again, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'll be cool. What else? What about you guys? Jared, what do you think? What's going to be the end boss, or what do you want to see as the end boss?
I'm in the old god camp still. Like, there's nothing that anyone can tell me that it won't be old gods, just because of all the until it won't be old gods. Like, I'm pretty much dead set that is what we're going to be building up towards the end of the expansion. And that's only just because the small slivers of information that we've gotten have been towards that. Like, we've been told that we're going to fight Queen Ajara, who is undoubtedly empowered by N'Zoth, at this point. Like we don't know that. Like it's not told, but it is something that like the artwork for it. She's just a tentacle monster, which is exactly what N'Zoth is. So there's nothing really to tell me otherwise that there would be something else, unless they just throw the Void Lords at us at the end of the expansion, which holy crap. But
be a bit much though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't think we're
exactly.
quite
I'm done with
yet.
space, man. Just for a bit. It was super cool to go to space. But I just want to have my feet on the ground.
Yeah, or under the sea.
Yeah.
With N'Zoth, right?
Oyo in the chat says he just wants to kill Jaina. That's what Hannah said too when we were watching your video about bosses. She's like, it's gonna be Jaina.
Actually, okay. So here's my wild card.
Yeah.
Here's my wild card guess. The final boss of Battle for Azeroth. We're gonna fight each other for a bit. Then we're kind of gonna branch out, maybe have a little thing with N'Zoth. But then at the very end, we go back, and it comes down to Sylvanas versus Jaina, and you basically have to pick a side.
Oh!
And whichever comes down to, whatever your result, it just ends in the destruction of Azeroth. And then we go to World of Warcraft 2. Right?
So that would actually be really cool. Not the World of Warcraft 2 thing.
No.
But because this is an idea I've been pushing for throughout Battle for Azeroth. Like there was that whole thing of who shot first, who started this kind of sort of reemergence of violence and stuff like that, and who set fire to Teldrassil and stuff like that. And this isn't going to happen, but how cool would it be if you had an event like the opening of Anchorage or something, where you have to like gather resources or like complete quests or things as a faction, and whoever like worldwide wins that, like they are on the side of the right. You know, like they are the moral high ground side. So if the Alliance won that Anchorage type event, and it would be months and months and months, then it was Sylvanas shot first. And like you're totally within your rights to all hate the Horde.
I like that she's
vice versa. And how cool would that be to choose the boss at the end of the between Jaina or Sylvanas or something like that? You have this big event. Maybe it's a whole raid. You have to like gather resources from the raid, and like the last boss of a raid drops more resources or something like that.
And the most.
Yeah, but it's not like a Horde Alliance thing. You get to choose as an individual player where you want to put your resources. Do you want to put your resources into making Jaina the baddie of the last raid or Sylvanas?
I'd be okay with that because then I can still play my Alliance too and give my all to the Dark Queen as well.
That'd be sweet.
And I was just thinking at the same vein, what if, and this is not going to happen either, but it would be so cool if it did, the idea of having the end boss being either Jaina or Sylvanas or Greymane or Sylvanas. Someone else said Greymane in the chat earlier. In Siege of Orgrimmar, the raid was different if you were Horde
very slightly.
Very, very slightly, but you got to clear this trash if you were Horde. This trash got cleared for you, and then this trash over here if you were Alliance, right? What if there were 2 end bosses, and if you're the Horde, you fight Greymane, and if you're the Alliance, you fight Jaina, and as far as the lore is concerned, they both die, or whatever, or are defeated, but you can only fight the end boss, you can only fight Greymane if you're playing on a Horde tune.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome.
I think that'd be amazing.
And actually, Shaku, that's what our next video is about this week.
No, I guessed it. I'm on it.
Yeah, because you say it better than anyone else, but you're not the only one who's had that idea.
Okay. I know. I'm not.
An idea that's like gaining traction.
But it does make a lot of sense.
Like in the community, like a different end boss per.
I think it would be cool because it's not like unfair. They get to they're both completely different bosses, and obviously one's going to be easier than the other. Hopefully not that much
salt
easier.
Would be beautiful.
But someone's going to be it's going to be salty, and they're always but then that's the thing. The faction, they get to be like, Horde. The other thing, think about the faction race or the world first race.
Exactly, but you could argue that actually it would be more balanced because you can take the racials of different factions into account as you're designing the boss.
Right.
So because at the moment all serious PvE guilds are Horde. Because they have the better PvE racials.
Right.
If you've got a different end boss for Horde and Alliance, you can claim to be balancing that.
Yeah, sure. It's going to be, I think that's really, really interesting. I think it'd be cool. I actually hope they do it or something like that in some raid somewhere.
Yeah. I don't think they will.
Really, really fun.
But I'm going to make a video about it.
They should. They're going to do something. They got to.
Oh, I say we're going to get Bellylar to make the video about it. We've plugged him in.
Right, exactly. You got him in Khadgar's head and just stick a USB right into the computer and just
crank him up.
Right, exactly.
Just rub it.
I think it would be really cool. I still want to see cross-faction raiding though, but I'm a nutbag. That was one of my favorite ideas, and I want that to happen. But we'll see. Shoe boots. We haven't got to you yet. Any last thoughts about this? Who the last boss is going to be? Any crazy wild predictions?
Yeah, I think the safe money's on N'Zoth, but my crazy wild prediction, and hear me out here, is Il'gynoth. I think I like the idea of this being like, now that we've had an expansion. At the beginning of Legion, I was like, there's no way we're going to kill Sargeras. That's just not going to happen. But now that I know we're willing to go that far, I think we're going to take care of the old gods once and for all this expansion. And I like the idea of the Il'gynoth encounter actually being the way, like, he tricked us all along to send him to Ny'alotha. And I think Ny'alotha could be the final raid, or a zone where the raid is. And I have this idea of like having a cool final fight at the center of the earth, maybe like the face of Azeroth, or just like her eye, because she's so massive, is like in the background or something like that. I think that would be super cool. But the final
you're just fighting her fingernails.
Yeah.
We haven't done that for a while.
Right. And she's being corrupted by the old gods. And I like the idea that Il'gynoth, because I was thinking the other day, what is Il'gynoth? Is he a minion? I like the idea that he's actually the leader of the old gods. And that's like a big reveal, reveal to us. And we have to, like, the final battle will be to once and for all stop the corruption of Azeroth, the next expansion.
I'd love to see us go to Ny'alotha as like a final whole patch area, like Argus.
Yeah.
So, because I feel like they've kind of set a precedent with that now, and like going to a whole area like Ny'alotha, and because like Ny'alotha is clearly, if you know your Lovecraft, it's R'lyeh, isn't it? The underwater where I can never say Cthulhu's name, so I'm not going to try. Thanks. And that'd be so cool because it's all about crazy geometry and like what you think is concave is convex, and it's confusing, and it's like I've always loved that. It's like the most magical, terrifying kind of imagery for me.
Yeah, they could go wild. They could do whatever they want.
Yeah, it'd be so cool.
I love it. I think I can't wait for something, whatever happens, to happen. We really don't know anything at all about the raids in the new expansion yet. Like, they released some artwork. They released a little bit about what the first
and that's
raid's
for the first raid as well, which is like a nothing raid. It's not like Emerald Nightmare wasn't really connected to the action.
Yeah, I feel like we had so much more information about raids before they came out around this time for Legion, and I know it's not because they're not prepared. I know they have everything that they're working on. I just think it's really interesting that they're holding this information. The way in which they're releasing information now, I think, is keeping people at the edge of their seat. Like, what's next? I got bated breath over here. Baited, definitely.
Yeah.
Can
I before we move on from this?
Yeah.
Can I say, if I could choose who the last boss would be?
Yes.
Xal'atath.
Yeah.
The Shadow Priest dagger. I've said this in the video before. If I had my way, Xal'atath would be a proper antagonist in this game.
Would she have a form that's not a dagger?
Yeah, and it would bound to be like a sexy woman form when they're but like, in my mind, it would just be the dagger. And it would be massive. And it would be like Tetsuo at the end of Akira. It would be like all big and fleshy and like just growing out of itself and stuff like that. It'd be so cool. And obviously she'd have like special lines that she said to Shadow Priests and stuff like that.
Right.
That'd be so sweet.
That would be really cool. Because I was thinking I played for, I don't know, what was it, 5 minutes, Blood DK, when we were progressing on Kill Jaden, and my axe started freaking out.
That's so cool.
He said, it said something like it's not Gorhal, but whatever the name of the Blood Maw, senses Kill Jaden and started, because it was designed to kill him or whatever in the lore. So I thought that was really cool. But having stuff like that is awesome.
Well, because like Xalatath as a character, and she is a character,
right? Yeah,
like,
she's a living thing.
She's one of the best built-up characters in recent times. Like, she's had so much kind of characterization and development over the course of this expansion. And people, whether they're Shadow Priests or not, they hang off the stuff that she says because you know how important it's going to prove to be. Yeah. So everyone knows about Xalatath. Everyone knows like her choice quotes and stuff like that. And there's not many kind of potential antagonists you can actually say that about in WoW. Like, they've done a lot of the work on that already. So let's not waste it, man. We just put the power of Sargeras into her. Like, let's have her like crop up and use it.
Whatever happens, I think what I want most is the actual birth of the Titan Azeroth. I want that to be part of it, whatever. And I don't know, because the other thing is, I was talking to, I can't remember who I was talking to, about this idea of like when Titans emerge from being world souls into being full Titans, like, is the world like their egg? And so they split it open when they come out. If Azeroth were to, and even if that doesn't happen, if Azeroth were to leave the world to become herself and travel throughout the universe, does that then leave the planet powerless because all of her power goes with her? Like, there's a lot of really cool, interesting things I think they could do with that idea, that even though we've been working this whole time to try to, give birth to the world soul, to have this powerful Titan that's going to defend goodness and power and great, and then all of a sudden she does, and she leaves, and now we're helpless to some other invader, reverse power creep, if you will. I don't know. But I would love to see. I know they're going to. I know they're going to continue that storyline, and I just can't wait to see it. Like, I want to get through it. I want to see the end of that.
I think someone's about to say the exact same thing that we're about to say, but you should definitely say it.
WoW 2 hype. Saying it right now.
Oh, no, that's not
WoW 2 hype.
That wasn't it. WoW 2.
No, I don't want WoW 2. No.
WoW 2 was Warlords of Draenor. They already said that.
Oh my god. No.
They upgraded the visuals.
No.
Here you go, WoW 2.
It was not.
It's the new Coke.
What were you going to say, Taliesin?
Well, I just feel like the achievement that WoW is constantly building on is that it is a game that doesn't need a sequel, because it's constantly reinventing itself. Not reinventing itself, but it kind of is. And it's constantly evolving, and it's doing something that no other storytelling medium in history has done. Okay, and that sounds hyperbolic, but it's true. Like, we've had like long-running book series and TV series that have spanned generations, and have had constantly evolving stories which are kind of unrecognizable, like from where they started, because they've just been happening and happening and happening. But it's never happened in video games before. It's never happened in a single video game where this actual video game that we're playing now, like, released in 2004. It's got lore and other games dating back before that, but this particular game has been going on since 2004, and it's unrecognizable, but it's the same game. And the entire, we'll make a video about this at some point as well, but it more and more, it's looking like the story of WoW is the story of Anduin, because he's the guy that we've watched grow up from that very first time we see him as the Child King in Stormwind. But it's more than that. It's more than him. It's this evolving storytelling, which could easily go on for another 10 years.
Sure.
I think the player base is there. Yeah. You have money that WoW makes Blizz. It's crazy. And even just as like a narrative experiment to see how long you could do it for is interesting to me.
I think when they started,
always ever happened before.
They had no idea. They've stated before in interviews that, we'll probably go to about, I don't know, level 100, and then we'll stop. We'll do something else. And we're already 110 going to 120. Like, this is...
But I think that's great.
They didn't know it was going to go this long, and now they're like, oh, well, how do we make it keep going? It reminds me, I mean, the game was based off of Dungeons & Dragons, loosely, right? But Dungeons & Dragons has been a game since, the 70s. And they get new additions, new rules, the game changes, but the game's the same. 5th edition is way different than, 1st edition, but it's new. And it's still the same idea. And I feel like that's what World of Warcraft's going to be. It's going to have ebbs and flows. It's going to be very popular, then not popular again, then come back and be really, and I think I could see it go on Dungeons & Dragons isn't going anywhere. I don't think WoW's going anywhere either. I think Blizzard is going to keep making WoW expansions as long as people keep buying them. And so far, they haven't even come close to not buying them.
No, exactly. Even at its lowest ebb, it's still been like easily the most popular MMO.
Oh, absolutely.
By miles.
Absolutely.
And like, I find it from like a storytelling point of view really, really fascinating. The fact that you've got all of this stuff that has happened, you know, and it's happened while we've been there and we've gone through it all. And there's loads more that can happen. And that's just, it's unique in storytelling kind of terms, you know, and people probably study it once it finishes and like, you know, do courses in it and stuff like that. And the storytelling isn't always great. It quite often isn't. But
that's why they hired Christy Golden.
Yeah, man. But like the value of it lies at this point, I feel, in just how much of it there is. And
that's an interesting way of thinking about it. Yeah.
It's these great legends that we're told from all time, you know, like Hercules. That story never ends. Right? We can continue to make up. There could be a new TV series tomorrow or a new movie about the new stories of Hercules. I don't know how many times this story has been retold, and something new Hercules is going to go on another adventure and do something else. And the same thing all the way. Star Wars is the same way. Star Wars story never has to end. New characters, old characters die, new characters come in. Star Trek is a similar way. You can do anything. Some of these like legendary legend stories that we have, I think WoW is absolutely one of them. That story will never end. Even when we're not telling them anymore, it could keep going, and it might in fan fiction. Who knows? You know what I mean?
And that's why I don't want a WoW 2.
Right. And I agree. I don't think,
just, you know.
I think if they do anything like WoW 2, it's going to be an update on visuals again, like they did in Draenor. I don't think they'll ever call it WoW 2. We've hypothesized before doing something like if it gets so stagnated that maybe they'll make Warcraft 4 and continue the story in that vein and then have like a universe of StarCraft sort of thing. But why would you reinvent the wheel? How could you possibly think that no matter, even if it was the most awesome StarCraft MMO you could possibly make, that it would be better than Warcraft? I would think at best it would be as good as Warcraft, right?
Yeah.
And I might be wrong, but why would you change it? So I don't know. But I agree with Taliesin on that. As cool as it would be to have a WoW 2.
I think the only reason they would ever stop making WoW is because they think they don't have there's nothing else in the well. You know, there's no more stories to tell. And if that's the case, I don't see why they would make a WoW 2. I think they're far more likely to do I think an Overwatch MMO is the most likely place they would go if they were going to do a different story. But
which they tried that. It was Titan and it failed.
Can I just say, Shu, sorry, your face has frozen on our screen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was really funny though, because like all the things we've been saying for like last 10 or 15 minutes, I've been thinking, Shu hates this. Shu's having like the worst time. He's just like this.
Oh yeah, no, I was furious.
Stoic face.
No idea how.
That's just his face all the time.
How dare you, sir?
Just like this death stare. It's like, what do you mean, no WoW 2? Screw you, Taliesin.
Yeah, just got a comment in the chat from Kish Kuman that says Bungie showed Blizzard why there should never be a WoW 2.
Yeah, shots fired.
I kind of think of it like, you know, if you look at like comics universes, they have a similar thing where they have these characters that go on forever and ever and ever, and these storylines. But in comics, they reinvent things, and they have new series of comics, and they have like alternative universes, and they have things like that. WoW gets to make one decision, and it has to stick to it, and that's the law then. And that to me is fascinating. You can't reinvent WoW, and that's what's interesting about it. Is like you have to see these narrative decisions that you make through. And see where they go. You can't just go, oh, okay, screw that. We're going to do a different series, and none of that happened, and this is the same story but told in a different way, and stuff like that. It has to stick with those decisions in a way that a soap opera does, which is like super interesting to me.
Until they write it out in a chronicle, because it was.
But they have to justify it. They have to justify it.
But you do, yeah.
Well, you're touching on the idea.
We still never got to like. people talk about retconning in Chronicle, and yeah, there was a bit, but it was amazing how much they managed to keep it in the framework.
And they had to. They couldn't just say, well, that wasn't right, that we're going to throw that.
Yeah.
Like, Riot's having issues with that with LoL right now. With there are people that really want, lore behind these characters, and there had been, but it was all messy, and they're trying to fix it, and it's just not. So they're throwing things out, and it's not. So now they don't care. They're just like, oh, we have the best, what is it, MOBA ever, so we're just going to keep working with that and not care about the story at all. Make up your own story. It's basically kind of, I feel like where they're going.
We don't want to make a story or we'll lose all our toxic customers.
We don't really care about these characters. You can't care about them. But yeah, Shu, you had something else to say. Maybe. Did you forget it?
You guys were touching on something. Like, one of the things that's most interesting to me about the story of WoW is how difficult it is to tell a story like this. Like, every form of storytelling is constrained in one way or another, and this is one of the most constrained ways I've ever seen. Like, one example I've often heard is the sitcom. Sitcoms don't get very much credit as being a high form of art, but they're actually one of the most difficult forms of storytelling that there is, because every story has to be 22 minutes, every third line has to be a joke, and the story has to, at the end of the story, the main characters have to be exactly where they were in the beginning. So these are all these just interesting constraints, and that's why so many sitcoms are terrible, in my opinion. But you go to WoW and think of the constraints they have. Okay, we have to tell this story that not only do we have to keep this story going, but it has to always include roughly 20 players at the core of it, and it has to, constantly have new threats that we have to deal with. There's just so many limitations that I can't even imagine how difficult it must be to approach it. I know they have an internal history department that sort of goes over things whenever they write new story to ensure that they're not stepping on their toes of somewhere else. But even then, they run into situations, and I honestly don't know why people get so upset about it. It's just a really tough thing that they're doing, and I think there's no one to compare them to, but if there was, I would imagine that they're executing it better than anyone else could.
Oh, I think, and the current setup, certainly. I feel like, again, it's not something loads of people agree with, but I think Ian is probably the best thing that's happened to WoW in recent times. Ian Haskostas. I feel like he gets it. And there are lots of things I miss about Metzen and the way it was set up under him. But Ian, for me, I kind of recognize Ian more. And I recognize what he's doing more.
You only say that because he smiled at you.
And he touched me.
Yeah.
Taking all things into consideration, and also just thinking about the idea of stepping in to fill Chris Metzen's shoes on this video game is an absolutely impossible task. But Ian has done it. I think very, very. It's impressive. I didn't have not saying anything against Ian. I don't think that anybody that could have tried to take over design lead on Warcraft after Metzen decided to retire, I would have been like, yeah, good luck. There's no way you're gonna this game is gonna take a hit. But it didn't, and it's improved, and Ian has been great, and his team and the guys supporting him and everybody else that's still working up. I mean, I agree. I think all of that is fantastic. Kudos, Ian. Listen to our show. Yeah. Give me free stuff.
Well, yeah, it's my genuine ambition to become, and it has been for a very long time, to become a quest writer for WoW. That's my genuine ambition. Anything. I want to write quests for WoW.
I just want to sit in on one of their story meetings, just sit and just
yeah, that's basically why I want to be there.
Yeah, exactly. So just Christy being like, so I have this idea, and just what is it, Christy Golden? Tell me your idea, please, so I can die now.
And I'll be like, I've got an idea, and everyone will be like, yeah, we know Xalatath.
Good, yeah, exactly, Xalatath, right, sure.
But what about Xalatath?
Yeah. What does Xalatath make of that, though, Christy? What's Xalatath's opinion of that?
Well, if we do that, Xalatath doesn't even fit in the story. Now you're with us.
Taliesin, you've got to stop writing in just pink ink, all the time.
Right. Why does Xalatath need 4 pieces of boar meat? I don't understand.
Oh God! All right. Well, speaking of stories going on forever, we have gone really long, and I think it's great. We sort of sidetracked into some other stuff and had some really cool conversations. Our deep dive this week. The intent was going to be to talk a little bit about what we talked about last week as well, sort of the transition into BFA and Battle for Azeroth and or Froth, if you will, Taliesin and Evitel fans who have coined Froth. Has that picked up, by the way? Have you guys, is it anywhere?
Oh, yeah.
No?
Oh, yes.
No,
yes.
no.
Yeah.
Someone in our chat room used it, and I'm assuming they got it from you guys, but I'm hoping, I really do hope that takes, I love Froth, but so we'll call it Froth for now.
Froth or Broth,
but
really,
Froth,
one.
Broth is a good one, too, yeah.
I feel like Froth is better because like it speaks of the sea.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's frothy. I like
waves.
it. But we talked a lot about Greymane and Sylvanas and kind of how maybe the story goes to where they get to where they are. I want to ask, we'll start with Taliesin and Evitel since you guys are our special guests. And there's a ton of information that we have gathered to kind of talk about this, that we were going to go kind of point by point. We definitely don't have the time to do this, but generally, what happens between now and what we know about the beginning of Battle for Azeroth? What do you think? What journeys have our characters taken? Especially, you look at just to focus today, maybe a little bit on Jaina and Anduin, or Anduin. And since I know you guys are big Jaina fans, maybe we can start there. How does Jaina become what she was when we last saw her in the game? Go from that to, braided, bodice wearing, crazy, awesome, whatever she is now that we've seen. What do you think that journey was like? How does that?
I feel like that would have been a harder question to answer before we saw the new model for Jaina.
Right? Yeah,
because it is because I'm a Jaina fan as well, but I honestly think I've never looked at a WoW model, a character model, and had that one sight of that one model when she appears in that features trailer.
And the whole story is
explain the story so well to me. Because I was like that. I was like, where has Jaina been? How is she coping? What's she thinking? Where is her head at? And literally just seeing her put her staff down and slowly kind of bring herself to full height and stuff. That literally just explained it to me. In a really interesting kind of non-verbal way. And which is great storytelling.
And she looks battle hardened and determined, and there's little circles under her eyes because she is getting a bit older.
She looks like looks like a badass middle-aged lady.
She looks amazing, and clearly reconnects with her mom.
Yeah. Maybe there'll be tension there and stuff. Maybe. But I think the key word for me is weary. She seems weary to me. Yeah. And kind of worn down, and I feel like a lot of it is going to be us gearing her up for the fight again. I feel there's going to be a lot of having to inspire her again and try and get those powers back to the fore and stuff. I feel like she's a bit like Christian Bale in the last proper Batman movie. Right. She's just she's down, she's injured, she doesn't know what she thinks. She knows she's really angry,
She knows she lived her whole life believing one thing to be true. And I talk about this in my classes when we talk about story structure and text analysis, right? You figure out a protagonist by one of the clues is okay, who thought something to be very true at the beginning of the story, and then completely something happens, and then at the end of the story believe something else to be true. They go on a journey. They go on they have their character arc. That's a lot of times your protagonist has to have that. And sometimes multiple characters in a story has this. But that's an easy way to pick out your protagonist because that's interesting storytelling. That's interesting character development. They believe something to be true and then something changes. And the fact that Jaina's whole life centered around peace and bringing the Horde and the Alliance together. That was everything. We talked about this a little bit last time, Shoe Boots, talking about how she, basically conspired in her father's murder in order to bring about this peace that she felt like surpassed even family.
Yeah.
You know, her loyalty to her father, her kingdom, this quest for peace. And then to hear her voiceover about, yeah, I was way off.
Yeah, and the question you've got to ask from a character perspective there is, has she learned that she was wrong? Or does she simply believe that she was wrong?
Exactly.
And actually the battle is going to be to get her back to where she was.
That's what I hope happens, because I just can't see
I think
Jaina. I can't see her not. That's so core in her. And I think I like this idea of this battle, you know, weary, beat down, broken down character.
Yeah.
But there's
she's
something
like a
about her.
She's not even angry anymore.
She's just like, I'm just going to kill everything and I don't even care. But there's something in the core of her somewhere, you know, that she desires this, but at this point in her history, she believes that it's impossible. And whether or not that's true or not, but she believes it 100% true. Jared, what do you think? As a
character, she's got like a natural gravitas and stuff as well. So, I mean, like, she's an incredibly exciting character to me.
Yeah.
100%. So, for people that started the expansion later and just kind of breeze through the introduction to the entire expansion, you kind of miss the fact that she was completely broken. Like, she gave up her entire life at the beginning of the expansion because Khadgar wanted to let the Horde into Dalaran, into her city, into her territory. She vehemently opposed that, and when he said, "Nah, I got the council. We totally are letting the Horde back into the city. Sorry," and she blew up. She didn't know what to do, so she just left. And that was probably more defeating to her than the bombing of Theramore. And I say that because everything that she had worked for since the bombing of Theramore was to turn the tide of battle against the Horde, to bring the Horde to its knees, and she could not do that. And then her own people, the Alliance, turned back on her and said, no, we got to band together with them. And she was there the whole time through the entire beginning of the expansion, trying to
broken
get...
shore.
She was. She saw the Horde betray the Alliance again. She finally kind of came around to to getting with them to go against the Legion, and
the same thing with Greymane. They're both in the same boat.
Right. Mm-hmm. And she was there telling Anduin, no, we need to fight the Alliance, or we need to fight the Horde and the Legion. We need to mount an attack against both at the same time, get them both wiped out. Because she believed that they had the power to do that, but for obvious reasons,
Jared,
didn't happen.
Question.
Sure.
Who was right, Jaina or Khadgar? Because you'd have to say that Khadgar was right, because we needed to band together to defeat the Legion. But in the latest Silithus storyline, Khadgar is totally disillusioned with what's going on and the way they're fighting each other again. And to the extent where we're probably not going to see him in the next expansion. He's going to do a Jaina. He's just going to lock himself away in Karazhan. And I wonder if he thinks he was right now. What do you think?
I think that he was right for the front against Legion. I don't think that he was right for the entire story, the overarching Azerothian battle that we're going to be fighting in a couple of months here. I don't think that he was right. I think Jaina was right for wanting to basically win Azeroth even at the cost of letting the Legion win, which that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. But
well, I don't know, man, because when I took Argus down and won the whole expansion, don't know about you, man, but there was only Alliance people there.
Yeah,
I didn't see a Horde.
Yeah.
Maybe Jenna was right. You don't need them.
Shoeboots, I'm sure you have a lot to add.
I mean, I think I don't know if I see Jaina exactly the same as you guys. I do agree that she's where what she is now, but ever since the bombing of Theramore, she has been dipping back and forth between these two sides of her persona. I don't think she's been like a warmonger ever since. Even in the book Tides of War, she hesitates at the very end. She makes the choice not to destroy Orgrimmar. But then you go into the Mists of Pandaria expansion, and she is fighting with the Horde on the Isle of Thunder, but then she's aligned with the Horde in the Siege of Orgrimmar, even though she's got choice words for Lorthamar. I think that's how you say his name. So she's going back and forth, and I think that her story in Battle for Azeroth is really going to be about her coming to terms with where she stands, and that she's got these two sort of one-dimensional sides to her, and I think she's going to become a much more three-dimensional character in this expansion. And one thing that's really interesting is, before Theramore, her greatest ally in the pursuit of peace was Anduin. And Anduin is now, they have sort of an auntie and nephew relationship. Anduin is now the leader of the Alliance. And Anduin has also become Manduin. He's learned from his father that peace isn't, he's not one-dimensional anymore either, right? He's willing to go to war, as we saw in the cinematic. So I'm really interested to see where Jaina falls there, and I think that Khadgar was right. I wonder if there's going to be a moment of reckoning with her, either internally or her being challenged by another character. Where were you? We just fought the Burning Legion for 2 years, and you're the most powerful mage in Azeroth. Like, why weren't you helping us? And she, maybe she'll be steadfast in her way that it doesn't matter because she wasn't going to help the Horde, but maybe she'll have to come to terms with the fact that she prioritized her own shortcomings over the well-being of the planet. So I'm really interested to see where that goes with her, and I think that we're going to get a chance to, going with the same sort of vein that we saw Illidan's story unfold. I think they're going to use a lot. At least I hope they're going to use a lot of those same sort of quest mechanics to show us internally what she's going through.
Well, I think the really easy and cheap way of doing it would be to have the second raid, which, well, the watery threat to specifically Kultiras, which we've been led to believe is the second raid. When the Horde players inevitably beat that raid and save Kultiras, like the Alliance will save Zandalar when they go in and do the Uldir raid and defeat the Blood Gods and things like that. That will be her going, oh my goodness, you saved my homeland, and maybe you're okay. And Anduin is showing me that actually you can hate the Horde and fight them when you need to, but you can still want peace all the time overall, and blah blah blah. And it will literally just be like the Horde doing something cool, like beating the raid and saving Kultiras, that makes her change her mind. And I hope it's more than that, but I could see it being something like that.
Well, I do.
Go ahead.
Oh, I do think one thing that it will serve, because I think, I mean, I don't know if I speak for all of you, but I think as much as I like Jaina, I've Warcraft 3 is one of my favorite all-time games. The character has been one of my favorite characters all along, so I'm super excited that she's at center stage this expansion. But I think there's definitely a part of me that wants to see angry Jaina. We want to see her blow shit up, right? Like, we want to see her see the wrath of Jaina. We've heard a lot about it for years now, but we want to see it. And I think what really helps that as a story device is the fact that Sylvanas is in charge of the Horde, because we talked last week and people have different opinions about her, but one thing that I think everyone can agree on is, whether you like her or not, is she is a ruthless leader. And kind of like Garrosh in that sense. And I think that she's going to provide I guess an enemy worthy. Like, it doesn't make sense if Thrall or Vol'jin's the leader of the Horde for her to be angry Jaina, but it does with Sylvanas, I think. So I think that'll really help.
That's interesting.
I think so too. I think, this is, I wish that we had all the time in the world. We've got so much more to talk about, and we're going to definitely be coming back to this concept again and again and again in the months that we have until the BFA comes out. And even when it comes out, we're going to have even more story to talk about. But
even the pre-patch, man, there's going to be so much going down on that.
I can't even imagine. But I definitely see Jane. She's such an interesting character. And I was going to say, even Anduin, like the fact that both of them, Jaina and Anduin, have, for the existence of this game up until recently, been so they were always the voice of reason in the Alliance. Jaina was always like, no, don't hate Thrall, he's my bud. And, Ando was like, Dad, why are you being so mean to the orcs and Taurens? Like, that's the way I've always seen these characters from playing since vanilla. I don't know if you guys knew that I played in vanilla, but I did. But I mean, I've seen them, and now they are the leaders of these factions. Jaina in Kul Tiras and Anduin for the Alliance in Stormwind. And even though they had that history, there's so much going on, so much development, something that had to have happened. And I don't know, for the biggest problem I have is Anduin, and we'll have to talk about this more in a later episode. And I'd love to hear you guys' feedback that's listening to the episode right now. Make sure you give us an email or shout at us on Twitter. But I'm wondering what's going on with Anduin. I'm wondering what convinces him, we need to attack Undercity. Like, because he never seemed to me like the character that would make the choice to attack the Horde, or anybody for that matter. He's a priest. He's always looking for that peace and that, and he's always, and you could even in his dealings on in Pandaria, when he was kidnapped by the Horde, he never blamed the Horde for that. He was like kidnapped and imprisoned by the Horde, and he's like, nah, they just, they're just doing what they do. They're in a bad place, and it's okay. I just want to be the light to them. I just want to show them the light. That's why I'm here right now. This very, I'm thinking back to my old Bible study days, and this is a very Pauline idea. Like, I'm here imprisoned, and but it's because so I can be here to minister to these Romans or these guards or whatever. That's how Anduin handled all that. So getting him to a place to where he's like, we need to attack Undercity and kick him out. Something huge had to have happened. And I don't think it's just Greymane and Jaina pushing him towards it. I think
your answer might be in the cinematic.
Yeah.
Like, the specific words, we have her cornered. They're not talking about the Horde. They don't have the Horde cornered. They have Sylvanas cornered. It's Sylvanas they're after.
Right. Yeah.
And it could be that thing of, hey man, the Horde are okay. Like with Garrosh, like the Horde are okay, but this person in charge of the Horde is not okay.
Yeah. And Shark, it should also be pointed out that I also played in vanilla.
I know. We do need to remind everyone every week how long we've been playing the video game.
You gotta tell us Wrath Babies what it was like.
Oh man, it was great. You're gonna find out soon when Classic comes out.
Yeah.
But that's going to be the show for us tonight, or tonight, whenever we are, wherever you are listening to us. Thank you so much for joining us. Taliesin and Evitel, thank you guys so much for joining us all the way across the pond. Making this such a fun international, 3 countries represented in our happy international group today. So thank you guys so much for being here and helping us talk about some of these stuff. We're absolutely going to have you back sometime.
Anytime.
I would love to be.
Anytime.
Permanent guests on the show.
It's like the second we turn off this computer now, it's gonna be like, I should have said that.
I know.
Said that.
We have all our notes.
Said that.
We will. So we'll have you guys
show
on
them
again.
how cool Jaina is.
But that's gonna wrap us up this week. I have an exit intro or extro, right? Something closing remarks. Here it is on the show notes. I am good at podcastings. But I do want to thank everybody for joining us. Before we go, I want to go around the room and ask the hosts what the best way to get in touch with them are. Jared, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at prosp42, PROSP42. You can also find me on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/JaredAron42. And yeah, that's how you can find me.
Yeah, you can watch some videos that he made about 6 months ago. It's
a year ago. Over a year ago.
Get on it, Jared. Shoeboots, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at the Shoeboots, and pretty much everything else, the Shoeboots. The Shoeboots at Gmail, twitch.tv/the Shoeboots, everything the Shoeboots. And I'd love to hear from you.
And you guys know where you can find me. You can find me on the Convert to Raid Battle.net News podcast. We record on Tuesday nights at 11 Eastern, I think. I don't know. Times are stupid. But that's at twitch.tv/convert to raid. You can also find me on Twitter, Sharku_CTR, Twitch at Twitch TV/Sharku_CTR, all that Sharku_CTR stuff. Taliesin and Evitel, where can we find you guys?
Usually on street corners with a bottle of White Lightning.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Harassing old people as they pass.
They don't have that over there.
No, well, they're missing out. We're all going to Google it now.
England's here on the other side.
White Lightning.
You guys should send me a case.
Yeah. Twitch, Taliesin, Evitel.
Twitter, at Taliesin Evitel.
Twitter, actually.
Oh, did you?
I meant that instead of Twitch, yeah. We're really professional, so check us out.
Yeah, we made sure when we were choosing our channel name to go as unspellable as possible. Yeah. So
100%.
That's the best way.
Yeah,
well, exactly.
Absolutely the best way.
Definitely look them up. Their YouTube channel, guys, is really incredible. I shared, I think, on CTR about I discovered you guys because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to play in Legion, and I came across one of your ranked videos about
how did that work out for you?
The best range. Well, no, yeah, I ended up with a mage, but no, mages are always good. But anyway. Yeah. What I thought was so interesting and my favorite, the reason that I think got so into you guys, first of all, the videos were so much fun. And so just my kind of humor, they're very funny. They're very good and lighthearted and such a interesting approach to giving WoW news or doing these lists. But also you didn't rank the PTR based on who was doing the best numbers or who you thought was going to be the best when they balanced it. You ranked it on what was the most fun to play and who had the shiniest graphics.
Yeah,
like I remember it was back when I think your number one was a elemental shaman, and at the beginning of the expansion, elemental shaman were garbage as far as numbers. But you're like, but you've got lightning, and it's really cool, and it's really fun.
And I stand by that. Yeah. That is cool stuff.
And that's exactly I got that. I'm like, yeah, because I want to have fun playing this game. This is the rank system that I want. I want to know this. I can look at any log and find out who's doing the best numbers, but this is what I need to know. So I really appreciate that. And go and check out their YouTube videos, their YouTube channel. Lots of awesome content over there. Taliesin and Evitel, thanks so much for being here. You can get in touch with us on the show. If you're interested, you can email us at setbackpodcast@gmail.com. Tell us how we did. Tell us where we were wrong. And tell us what you guys want to hear on the show in the future. We can read your emails off if you decide to email it in, and we can answer some of your questions. So please email us. You can also tweet at us at setbackpodcast, and we can try to get those out on the show as well. We're up on Twitch. We're up on YouTube. And we'd love to hear all the feedback that you have. So please give us a call. As we found out last week, we have a new endeavor that we're doing. We started a Patreon page, and if you guys enjoy the content that we put out, we are ever so grateful for those of you that are donating to our Patreon page. We have a couple new Patreon patrons this week, new lore walkers, if you will. Frasley Sparkspan, Brian Sparkspan.
I know Frasley.
Names. Brian Albers and Kapow. Thank you guys so much for being patrons to the show. We really, really appreciate it. And all of you that are out there that are going to be future patrons, we appreciate you guys as well. Take a look at some of those stretch goals. There's some really, really cool ones. The first one that we're trying to meet, and we need a few more dollars for that. We want to be able to open our Discord channel up to all you guys so we can keep this, like Taliesin and Evitel were just saying, as soon as they log off, they're like, oh, I should have said that. Oh, I should have said that. Well, guess what? You can just type it away in our Discord chat, and we'll be able to be there, talk back to you guys, talk to each other about all the lore stuff you want. We would love to have that happen, and if we can get that stretch goal, we would be more than happy to open that up and moderate that for you guys and have a really cool place. So please help us do that. I think it's going to be a super great thing to do, and even without any any salesmanship or anything like that. We just really, really appreciate all of you, our patrons. All of the stuff that we provide is always going to be free to everybody. Patrons, you guys are awesome for doing a little bit extra and helping us out so we can get this content to everybody. So we really, really appreciate that. Do we got some 5-star reviews this week, you guys?
I don't have. There's no new ones on the Canadian store.
Canadians, get on it!
There's only like 8 people in this country, so
yeah, exactly.
I don't know if there's.
We've already got 5 of them.
Well, you're all coming down here to get all your medical procedures done, right? That's what our government's telling us.
No, that's American news you're watching.
Oh, okay, that must be it. What about the American store, Jared?
No new ones on the American store this week either. Sad to report.
Both countries are failing miserably. Just kidding. We really appreciate those 5-star reviews, guys, and whenever it's because everybody has already given us all the 5-star reviews. I know. But we thank you so much.
No more stars.
There are no more stars to give. I understand.
Got them all.
Yeah, it's great. But that really helps out our little podcast. And this has gone on long enough. Thank you guys so much for joining us for Merely a Setback this week. Appreciate you coming out. We're gonna be back with you next week with a bunch of other cool and awesome things. And until next time, as always, catchphrase.
Catchphrase.
You guys got to say it too. That's our catchphrase.
Catchphrase.
Should have had rehearsal.
I know. We should have worked on that. Thanks, guys. All right, we're out.